Aloha Rifters, Kiwi over here on Faeblight, and today we had an extraordinary live stream, and it's also for me the day of synchronicities because I was going to be chatting to Linketh anyways. I love it when synchronicities happen, so we're here with Linketh on Faeblight. Hi Linketh.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, and it was great fun watching you on the live stream. You've had such a great influence in the building of Dimensions world. You were actually the first castle I ever saw. I'm originally from Faeblight, and I was blown away way back when.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you came back for another visit, even though you know you're on Lathis now. No
Right.
hate on Lathis, I'm just saying.
Don't hate on my Lethus. It's awesome. So, is this where your original castle was, and you've taken it down?
Actually, my original castle used to be out here over the water, and I had a bridge out there, and I had built it up. I think this dimension used to originally be 800 pieces, and I had it built up, and I had the foundation all structured, and I had like a drawbridge set up, and I just something about being right here, I didn't like it, and I decided I wanted to move it. And up on the hill over here to the side is where it is now, but I had actually learned that when you try and move a whole entire dimension, you will actually crash the server. I ran through the castle and selected every single piece that I possibly could, and I moved it like probably not even an inch, and the entire server crashed. Everything just went to hell, and like when I got back in, the pieces were all over this dimension. I know you can't see what I'm doing because I'm moving my hands all over my screen, but
Right.
the
I'm moving
pieces to my
across the
castle
bridge.
were
So, let's go. But no, I can't see what you're doing. That would be creepy, don't you think?
maybe you're outside the window. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, they're all over the place, and I then had rebuilt and started doing something down here on where I've got the dock now, where it was just kind of a built-in. I didn't like where this placement was either, because I also know I figured out actually late in the game, or not late, but kind of early, that the further, as far as when you start out in the zone-in point of where you come into your dimension, if you place down statues or Nico or the guild quartermaster, after you hit a certain distance, the rendering on some people's computers doesn't happen right away. So like I can see where you are right now, but to a degree there might be a ton of tiles underneath you. So when you approach it, the NPC would already be loaded. However, the castle or whatever it's on would not be loaded yet, so they always fall through the floor. So that's why that happens. So I ended up bringing it up here because it's closer to the start zone, and I liked that from a strategic standpoint. It actually was
And for
better.
you, strategy is so important because you have a building background, don't you, in real life?
I went to school for architecture and engineer, but I had run out of money, and it is a very very expensive, very time-consuming course to do. Try and attempt to do both at the same time. But my father was an engineer and an architect, and my grandfather was an architect, so I tried to follow the family line, but did not succeed. But I do contracting and carpentry in real life, so it actually kind of goes hand in hand for building dimensions.
And I can appreciate that you put that amount of thought in because placement is from your zone and point to where you end up going. It's one of the main things that I look for as soon as I zone into something. I love certain things about certain dimensions, but if I don't like where it starts, it's not going to happen. So, Yeah, so it's interesting. And then the knowing how long or old this dimension is, being set up in the beginning of Storm Legion, the fishing items came in, so that would have added another thought process to how you built this, right?
Yeah, like this is actually the 5th time that it's gone up. There used to be, like where I'm standing right now, there used to be foundation of these mossy boulders and gray boulders that I had actually built out like another 20 yards out in front of me to build out a foundation. And there, I'm sure there's pictures of it somewhere if somebody's really adamant about seeing what it used to look like, but it used to go way out the back. And then when the fishing items came out, and I hadn't maxed out my fishing, but I know I have a friend on the server that was like, have you seen the new dimension items? And I was like, no, where are they? So I stopped all the work that I was doing. I spent like, God, probably 2 weeks straight just fishing, and I actually lucked out because I had like 2 days of work where like it was just crap weather, and I just kind of hung out in the house and fished forever and ever and ever because I was really determined on getting all the new fishing items. And then I swapped out all my windows with the new Elven lacy tables, etc. Like all the couches that I put up I tore down because then I could just put the Vervanic benches in. And I brought my item count down, and then technically I did a small remodel because I had an extra like 300 pieces.
I love this window at the front. It's awesome. I love all your windows. Your doors and windows are amazing.
Yeah, I used to use the Elven coffee tables for windows because I liked how it added a pattern in a window pane, because we don't have anything like stained glass or window panes in the game yet. But the problem that I was having with them was that the legs stick through. And I have a friend that I actually know in real life on this server who will pop in on Skype and be like, Link, I have a challenge for you. See if you can build this. And so like he had actually been, I'll give him the total credit for all these windows and arches and stuff like that. Like he just kind of was saying, I don't think you can do it. And we built actually these clover church key windows with like portals on the top, and they turned out really, really well. But like they're item intensive, but I've noticed that like when you're going into the front sides of buildings, like the first look that you get on it is actually the catchiest part of it.
It is. It's very
So like
stunning.
the big arches and then the big window up there on the top actually turned out really well. So
Yep, I'm up here. I'm up here. It's pointing it out as you're talking about things moving around the whole room. So it's nice. A lot of people tweak their dimensions, but you moved a whole dimension and crashed the server. Grats. I hope you get a title for that, because that would be awesome.
I have to build a giant couch for Greg.
Right. Way to go, Greg, for putting that challenge out there. It made my head spin. I'm not even going to attempt it, but I'm sure I already know 3 or 4 people that are going to. Nothing like being given a challenge like your friend does to you. I have friends too that throw out challenges to me, and I can't help it. I have to. That's what makes it fun, just being able to think of things differently. And that's what makes the whole dimension world keep evolving. So it's really awesome. What was your favorite thing to build here?
Uh, I really like building stuff like this lodge. That's probably the favorite of what I've got. Like, I try to structure everything, like the poles going off, or the cross members, or the roof rafters. And then I tried to keep stuff a little bit changed up. Like down here, you can see like if you take this is graystone tiles, but just to do a transition, you can also take the greenstone tiles and rotate them at a 45-degree angle, and if you sink them down a little bit, it adds a different look to it. Like in theory, like I could have brought these graystones in tighter for just more of a sloop in the floor. but I really like, I love building entryways to the homes, and I love building great halls where everything, like, I love just looking up at the ceiling of this, and like, I wish I would have had an item count higher so I could add more rafters or maybe some more cross members, but I just love standing here when I can come into the front of the dimension and seeing like the fireplace and the rafters and the banners up. This feels homely to me.
I'm finding there's like a profile for dimensions, and people that are attracted to certain dimensions have a certain personality or something they like. And everybody that I've met about Vengeful Sky, and this is a naive overview by the way, when I say naive I haven't sat down and absolutely put 100% effort into my theory, but everybody that loves Vengeful Sky loves to look up and loves majestic, you know, like that. And you'll find in all of their buildings they're about majestic things and being able to have that larger view of stuff, if you like. And that's been in nearly every Vengeful Sky that I've had. But it's also logic, I guess, that somebody who would build in a Vengeful Sky, who would build castles, loves majestic things. So it's interesting.
You also have to have your sound turned off, I discovered. If you have your sound turned way up, you'll never make it in here because it's just constant thunder and crashes. So if you tone your sound back a little bit, it's awesome.
Yes, I never have sound on, so it's always interesting when I come into a Vengeful Sky and turn it on. I don't know how people build in it with their sound on, and I know a few people that have done that too. And what's the worst thing for you to build? Did you have anything that was really tricky for you, or that you perhaps would do differently, or anything like that? You've just moved it, so that's, I guess that doesn't count, but...
Right out here. This is all mossy boulders because I wanted grass, because this place has no grass. And to get the mossy boulders to kind of somewhat lay lush, and so it looks like it's natural and not just like a bunch of bumps, was probably took like 6 hours. And I know that might sound weird. I mean, looking at it, you're probably going 6 hours, or are you out of your mind? But I'm really OCD about stuff.
It's Kiwi you're talking to, I understand completely. And a lot of Dimensioneers will understand that. It's usually the simplest things that are the hardest. But someone that's never built a dimension will go, what? That will be like, out of all the things in here that look so strategically placed, rocks did them in, right?
Yes.
Nice. That's funny. I like that these flags you would have enjoyed. I have a feeling any console builder would have enjoyed seeing the banners for the carnival come in, because they look awesome.
Oh yeah, as soon as I saw those at the carnival vendor, I was like, oh, I gotta have those. But my original castle it wouldn't have gone with very well at all.
I love your use of the puzzle items as well. I like especially the queen piece. That looks great outside with your 6-hour effort to top it off. So it's amazing. I love, like you've said, your use of sometimes the most amazing things are really simple, and if you're in a place that's so well lined up, you can't help but notice the textures and different uses of items and things like that. They stand out a lot more, especially in such a big space. And I can see why you like doing entries. It looks just great. As a midget looking up, because I'm always looking up at everything, looks even better. I love the doors too. So much detail.
Yeah, I wish they could find a way to make stuff like interactive. Like to me, it would be really cool if like maybe somebody could sit down with the development department and say like, well, like if these doors would be like something that you could open and close and give individual people like an account key. Like technically they wouldn't have a key in their inventory or something like that, but you could almost be like, you give people permissions so that like these would be closed, but they could unlock the door and come in if they wanted to.
Oh, it's a lot of coding. it's a lot of coding, separate coding, because that would depend
Oh
on
yeah.
every item that you could use for a door would have to have it. It's like, whoa, even my mind is going crazy. There's so many great ideas. People out there are so generous with sharing them, and you've been so generous helping people out. And some people might disagree being involved in community a lot of different projects, which is fine. Everyone has their opinion, but for me, like I can understand you. Some people don't like doing certain things. Some people aren't good at them. Some people like to save time so they can enjoy doing what they love doing in Dimensions. And for in my discoveries in this short time, 65% of Dimension builders love the decorating part but don't like the structure. Then you have some that just like doing structure and don't like the decorating part. So it's great that you're out there offering to people an opportunity, and a generous one too, to be able to concentrate on the things that they love. It's awesome.
Yeah, I like structure. I'm not super big on decorating, and I really don't like landscaping. But
I would never
I
have
actually
guessed
have
after
gotten a
that
lot
6 hour
better.
of effort, by the way. I have to throw that in there. Would never have guessed.
Well, I actually at one point had teamed up with a person that loved decorating, and I found a person that loved doing landscaping and lighting, and it, it worked out really well for a little while, but then it kind of became one of those things where it was, like we were all fighting over item count, and I discovered that when everybody works on a dimension at the same time, like when somebody touches the same piece as somebody else, like they disappear and go all over hell. And so I just decided that at that point I would just have to adjust to the fact that I'm going to have to landscape and I'm going to have to decorate at some point. But the people that I actually end up working with, I'll do like a layout for them, and I'll say, go ahead and decorate if you want. If if you don't mind, I'll come in and I'll straighten stuff, or I'll move it or scale it down. Like a lot of times you'll see people that will put up these massive bookcases, and they'll be like, what do you think? And I'll say, well, I mean, compare your character to that bookcase. Are you going to want to pick up a book that's half the size of your character? And they'll be like, oh, good point, it's got to get shrunk. And it's like, well, I mean, it's whatever.
Right. There's a lot of things that you can take into consideration. I do love your use of the dominoes, by the way. It looks great. And the way you've covered them
It's
with
very
the metal.
expensive.
Yeah, I know. I've got stacks of them purely because I love the stone. And it's great. There's teamwork out there. Team people work together. They work solo. They do a lot of different things. Dimensions are so organic. They're evolving every day, and everyone's finding different ways. And I just suggest to everybody to find the best way that's for them. If someone else is doing something different, let them do it. It all works out as fun for everybody, as long as you're having fun. And dimensions also are an art to me, anyways. Some people look at them as a purely as a fluff thing, which is fine, and some people look at them as a structural thing or a technical thing. But to me, they're art, so they're ever evolving, always different. And I look at this and I see the not only the fantastic lines, but you've taken all the colours of a castle, you've put them in there, you've lent it to the sky, to the whole environment, you've stuck with using things. Like you could use any kind of tree, you could use any kind of plant, any kind of stone, but you're stuck to really keeping with that theme, and that's what pleases my eye, because I'm all about colour. Or things aligning and creating a story, and you've definitely done that. It's awesome. Thank you very much for showing us around.
Yeah, for like out here too, I had a little bit of inspiration from my lovely wife, where I decided after I'd gotten one of these queen chess pieces that part of the overhaul to this too would try to do something as far as like, like I build structure and stuff like that, but at the same time it's like, I try to also picture, as I try to do with all the other dream dimensions that we end up doing, is like what would people want to see? Like, if I were actually to live here, like, would I want to come outside and just... I mean, Vengeful Sky is cool with the, like, floating stuff in the sky, but... I mean, from, like, if I were a bachelor, that would be cool, but if you're, like, quote, married or in a relationship, I mean, they're not going to want to walk outside and see swirling rocks and just stuff everywhere. You got to do something as far as like foliage here. Otherwise, it gets kind of dull, you know.
Yes, us women influence things all the time. We're good at that. So I'm glad this represents your wife too. That's awesome. And you've reminded me that I gotta do that puzzle and complete it. I've got all the sets and stuff. But this is the name of this dimension again, please, Linketh.
It's Castle von Linketh.
Nice. And I remember seeing this castle way back in the day, and I actually remember all the tables and the way you had it. So it's been nice to revisit and see it in its later stages, almost 5 months later. 4 months, 4.5 months later. No, 5 months later. For me, was actually 7 months later. I think I saw it in October, November. It was Storm Legion, November, right? So I think I saw it in December. You only had it up for a very brief time, and someone like squealed on vent in my ear about it, and I had to come over and see it. So thank you for
Yeah.
showing us around on Faeblight. Thank you for sharing how you did things and why. And we look forward to every little project you're up to. It's awesome what you do for the Dimension community. Nothing like someone out there raising the bar for everybody, because that's what we all do, and offering chances to concentrate on the things we love and share them. It's great. Thank you very much, Linketh.
Thank you, Kiwi, for your time, and thank you, the whole entire Rift community and Dimension ears, etc. Everybody is a great hand, and everybody that throws out new ideas and everything. It's cool to go out and see other people's stuff and etc. And just remember, everything just takes a little bit of time and practice.
Right? That's what it is. Thank you guys, and we'll be seeing you again soon at Rift Dream Dimensions with Kiwi Dimensions 101. See you later.